You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everyone, in the Locked On Syracuse podcast. I'm Jackson Holzer, and thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And we're joined by Neil Adler, an editor at Inside the Loud House. And right as I hit the record button, Neil, Peter Carey decides to enter his name into the transfer portal. And before we get to that, this episode is brought to you by Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Check them all out today at nissanusa.com. All right, Neil, what are your initial thoughts on Peter Carey putting his name into the transfer portal?
Well, first, Jackson, thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. Big fan of your podcast, and I appreciate the opportunity. Not terribly surprised. Kind of figured that there might be at least one or two more guys, if not more, on the 2023-24 roster that could hit the portal beyond, Copeland, Taylor, and obviously Benny Williams. And Peter Carey, an athletic big man, injured, by and large all of last year, came back this year, just didn't get a lot of minutes, and it's not a huge surprise that he's gonna hit the portal. I should say, anyone that hits the portal obviously can come back if they don't see what they see. Although depending on what conversations are between the Syracuse basketball coaching staff and Peter and other guys, that might not be an option. But I wish him well. He seems like a good guy. Had high hopes for him here, but he just didn't see the court a lot in, this most recent season. So we'll see where he ends up.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting where he ends up. My initial thought is this does open up another roster spot for Syracuse.
Sure.
They now have 3 open scholarships available with everyone transferring. That includes Elijah Moore and Donnie Freeman coming in. And to your point, Peter Carey just, even when Syracuse didn't have that dominant big man, he still couldn't emerge here.
Right.
He just wasn't quite on the level yet of maybe a power 6 starting center. Who knows where he goes? I could easily see him end up in a mid-major, getting a starting spot, proving himself there for a few years, and then eventually coming back into the power 6. But Peter Carey, we wish him nothing but the best. Now Syracuse, a little bit less big man in the rotation now. You got Naheem McLeod, Donnie Freeman, Malik Brown, but certainly, and William Patterson too. Let's not forget him.
Yep.
Certainly his raw talent or raw athleticism is there. Just needs to harness that.
Sure.
But an open roster spot is an open roster spot. That's 3 available now for Syracuse. We'll move on to Judah Mintz, who recently tweeted, we can avoid DEFCON 1 here, Neil. Judah Mintz from himself. So if you're questioning the sources, it's
good source.
Pretty good source. Judah Mintz himself tweeting out that he is not going to Georgetown. Neil, what do you think Judah Mintz is going to do? Have you heard anything? Do you want him back at Syracuse? Because there's maybe a little bit out there that say we don't want him, but I don't really agree with that. But what do you think?
Well, the whole Georgetown, rumorville on social media to me was just rumorville. I never saw anything from any substantiated, what I'd consider super credible sources. And Frank, I know he's from the Washington, D.C. area and all that, but to transfer to Georgetown, frankly, would have surprised me. Frankly, I think it'd be a little surprising if he transfers anywhere. I think just like last year, he's going to test the NBA draft process and go through that and then make his decision. Do I want him back? He was on the All-ACC second team and led the Syracuse in scoring. He's not, he had his ups and downs just like everyone else. And you could talk about his positive, attributes and some maybe not so positive, but he averaged what, 18, 19, almost 19 points a game. Why would you not want that back?
He doubled the amount of double-digit games this season.
Right.
He doubled it. He just didn't improve his shooting. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. I was once trying to attend a Syracuse game earlier this season on short notice, and that's why I used the Gametime app. Gametime is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. Buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at Robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply, and now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024, validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, is a registered broker-dealer. That's why I ultimately gave him a B+ for the season, because I was like, you did improve as a player. The numbers say it. The team improved overall. But the one thing that you really needed to improve on was that 3-point shot, and it got worse.
Yeah, not good. And I was, and you know, in the off season at some camps or showcase events or whatever they were, you know, I saw some stuff coming out from NBA scouts saying his long distance shot looked better, but yeah, he didn't necessarily improve there. You know, is a little turnover prone, maybe sometimes tries to force the ball, do too much, but he's also trying to make plays, and he's obviously super proficient at getting to the foul line in terms of attempts and makes. And again, he was on the All-ACC second team and led Syracuse in scoring, and I'd welcome him back with open arms. But for me, it just would really, unless there's something behind the scenes, it would really surprise me if he enters the transfer portal. I think he's going to test the NBA draft process, or he could just declare altogether and give up his final 2 seasons of eligibility. But I think it's either that or he comes back. I think it's too early to tell one way or the other. I mean, frankly, I haven't seen him in any, or at least a lot of, mock drafts for this, upcoming one over the summer. So I don't necessarily think he's going to hear his name called, especially in the first round, but maybe he's just decided that, it's time to move on. But then again, with NIL, maybe if what he hears during the draft process, if he hears that he needs to come back for another year, well, come back for his junior year. Work on some things and make coin and NIL, and that could happen as well. Absolutely.
You know what? It's funny you mentioned that, because I just tweeted out that, unless the status quo changes, right? Judah Mintz enters transfer portal. Judah Mintz declares for NBA draft, something like that. He doesn't have to make an announcement that he's staying at Syracuse. Like, we could just wake up in the middle of June one day and just be like, Judah Mintz is still on the Syracuse basketball roster. I guess he's just not going anywhere. Like, he doesn't, unless the status quo changes, Judah Mintz is on the roster for next season.
Sure. Again, I think if he is ultimately going to test the draft process or outright declare and give up his, final 2 years of eligibility, I'm sure one way or another, it's probably going to come out publicly. But otherwise he can just go about his business, and that'll leave all of us wondering. And obviously that's a big part of the roster construction for next season, one way or the other, which is why Syracuse coaches reportedly have reached out to a couple of other folks, including a point guard, and we'll have to see. But as of right now, I don't necessarily think he's leaving. We'll see.
Well, we will wait and see. And like I said, we could just wake up in June and one day be like, hey, Judah Mintz is back, because he hasn't said anything.
Yeah, cool, great.
I guess, we want an announcement because it just it gives you clarity. But at the end of the day, as long as the people in charge know what's happening, we don't have to know squat. It don't matter. Yeah,
of course. Us as fans, we want to know. And again, based on the portal and everything else, and what Syracuse coaches may be doing, in terms of looking at other folks, we all want to know. But I don't really think Judah Mintz really owes us anything, one way or another. So we'll see. It's a big discussion point on social media, and chat rooms and all that stuff, chat forums about what Judah's going to do. And I personally, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, Jackson, I really wouldn't understand why a fan wouldn't want Judah to come back. I'm not saying he's perfect and he needs to work on his 3-point shot and maybe, cut down on the turnovers or, trying to force things sometime. But I mean, he's an All-ACC second team player. I don't know what the argument is there.
I know what the argument is, but I don't agree with it.
Right.
But I can give you the argument, which is that there are people out there who will say that he is a ball hog, even though then I counter and say two things. Number one, you want Judah Mintz with the basketball.
Yeah, sure.
And number two, here, I'll hold it up into the camera there. Number two, he was only third in the ACC in assists. That matters.
That is an excellent point, Jackson. Maybe, again, sometimes he tries to maybe force things a little bit in the paint, against bigger guys, but he gets to the free throw line a ton, scores, and he facilitates for others. So I feel like if he could clean up some of that a little bit and get his 3-point shot going, he's a great player. So I would people that don't want him back for maybe some of those reasons, those are their opinions and I respect them. But like you said, I just don't agree with them.
I don't get it. Let's go find another all-conference guard out there because those grow on trees, apparently. Thank you for watching this edition of Segment of the Week. To catch the podcast this segment came from, click here. To subscribe to the channel, click here. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone.